Happy Thursday, everyone. So everybody's been asking what I did on my vacation, and the theories were floated that it wasn't really a vacation at all, that it was some sort of forced leave of absence. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. Here's a little montage I put together of all the things I did on my week off. Roll it. I don't like to usually talk about my volunteer work, but you forced my hand, so I'm just glad I was able to share it with all of you. So let's get to some jokes. A video went viral this week of a dog in Florida who was born with lime green fur. When asked why the dog had green fur, his breeder replied, "That means he's not ripe yet."
Come on, man.
I know. Joe Biden once again claimed that he used to drive 18-wheelers. He's right, here it is. A devastating tree virus is threatening the world's supply of chocolate. Not on my watch, said one former official. In a port near Stockholm, Swedish customs officials have seized 1.4 tons of cocaine. Meanwhile, one American is applying for a job as a Swedish customs official. Today is National Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day, which has got to be awkward if you work at Planned Parenthood. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Yeah. A kidney from a pig was transplanted into a deathly ill New Jersey woman, and it began working almost instantly. Scientists say the pig kidney felt quite at home in the new body. Never fails. One of Harvey Weinstein's felony sex crime convictions was just overturned by New York's highest court, which can only mean one thing: he's a Democrat. Drew Carey says he would stick his genitals in a blender to see another Fish concert in Las Vegas, which is weird. Why not just buy a ticket? It's what normal people do. According to a new survey, most parents experience isolation, loneliness, and burnout as a result of the demands of parenthood. Well, that's why I visit the kids as little as possible, said one father.
I was waiting for that one. All right. I want to smile.
Let's do a monologue. So, America, whatever happened to white supremacy? Remember when the Biden White House said the #1 domestic threat facing the nation was, quote, racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists who advocate for the superiority of the white race? The good old days. Turned out the #1 threat to us and Biden's presidency is a teleprompter and the party that props up its desiccated and deranged reader. Because when you look at the crowds currently fighting cops in the streets and shutting down our campuses, threatening white Jewish students and keeping them from simply attending school, we realize these are not the white supremacists that we were promised. The white sheets have been replaced by black ski masks and balaclavas. I, for one, feel cheated. It's insurrection affirmative action. They're taking all the racist jobs without even trying. But I guess when they said celebrate diversity, they meant among bigots as well. And they're bigots, all right, except with brand new tents. Who's paying for all these? How do they get them there so quickly? Do their parents work for Dick's Sporting Goods? Did they just loot a Bass Pro Shop? Are these kids using the cash they stole from us by shirking their student loans? Nope. Someone is funding them, and that someone is a nice way of saying Democrats. And no one is happier about it than Hamas. This week, a senior Hamas leader pledged support to the protesters and called for the escalation of their struggle. So what does the party of hate do now? As the Dems claim the greatest threat to democracy is Trump and all the evil white supporters, Their most vocal, inspired part of their base has gone full Nazi. Hell, I leave for 1 week and everything goes to Our campuses are occupied. Our streets are overrun with wild-eyed Jew haters. Jesse's been using my office to apply body spray. Joe Biden says his uncle was eaten by cannibals. I guess unlike the Dems, they find value in white meat. And it's only gaining steam. Democratic Senate leader and shameless panderer Chuck Schumer found his house surrounded by a chanting anti-Israel mob demanding a Gaza ceasefire. Funny, I don't recall these same crowds out in the streets on October 7th when 1,400 Israeli civilians were raped, kidnapped, and murdered. Maybe, thank you. But in their defense, maybe they were holding out for the free tents. Now, what did Chucky see when he looked out his window that night? Well, it wasn't a crowd that looked like a Dave Matthews concert. No, this looked more like the mayhem he and his fellow Dems have helped create in our cities, but even more diverse. He pushed group identity, and now the group identity is pushing back. This was a perfect DEI mob. It looked like the floor at the Democratic National Convention, all marching against Israel and supporting Hamas, a State Department-designated terrorist organization. And let's be clear, this crowd isn't just anti-Israel. When you're screaming, "I am Hamas," and forming a rugby line to block Jews just trying to get to class, we're well past that. Be careful, kids. It's getting so we won't be able to call Trump supporters Nazis anymore if you dopes make it too obvious. But what's new this time around is combining anti-Semitism with all the typical progressive tropes the left reveres today. So now if you support Israel, you must also be pro-American, racist, patriarchal, transphobic, a monster. The progressive little chickens have come home to roost. Now, Chuck and the rest of the Dems are pulling what's left of their fake hair out, trying to manage this horde of child monsters that they've created. And they need Republican help. And as Israel prepares to enter Rafah and the reaction here grows more extreme, the Dems expect all of us to share this risk and to do the heavy lifting, which Republicans are fine with because this does need to end. But you got to ask yourself, what if a Republican were in charge? Say a certain guy with a reddish glow and hair that's somewhere between a rhombus and a parallelogram. Would the Dems help Trump? No, they would be attacking the White House like they were Joe Biden's dogs. The Dems would simply fan the flames, and the media will ignore it like American hostages held by Hamas. But now it's today, with old Joe, and the White House will continue to do nothing, because everything Joe does do turns to the border, the economy, grammar. Could his inaction be a color issue? That the prism of identity collapses when the victim is white? But there's one bright spot here. The theory of white supremacy has been debunked by Joe Biden's presidency alone. Let's welcome tonight's guest. Inmates get to call their kids more than he does. Actor, writer, and comedian Jamie Lissow. This Jesus also got famous in his 30s. Host of the Grift Report, Hotep Jesus. Cannibals look at her and say, pass. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor, Cat Tim.
Oh, boy.
And he once picked up a haunted house just to lift your spirits. Wow. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA champion, Tyrus. Jamie, good to see you. Now, when you look at these protests, do you think, oh, so that's what a crowd looks like?
I do.
Why do you come on?
I don't know.
It's good to be back. I was so looking forward to trashing you.
I feel like we just started and my feelings have been hurt 3 times already.
It's true.
That's pretty good. There's another reason I'm not going to send my kids to Columbia, stories like this, that, and I don't think they're smart enough. I can't afford it. But it's like, by the way, the tent, is it possible? Did you see those tents?
Yes.
Who is sponsoring this? Is it possible that Columbia University is associated with Columbia, the outdoor gear company? and maybe they stand a I don't know. Did you see the one? I think some of these kids don't even know why they're out there.
Right.
And they're just following the crowd. Because like my son said, I want to go to Columbia, and I go, why? And he goes, you don't ever have to go to class. You're not in class. But it's like the one. I don't know if you saw the clip.
Yeah,
they go to this girl. They go, what do you like? What is specifically are you protesting? And she goes, it's really about. Do you know what we're protesting? She asked a friend of hers. It's absolutely insane. And I remember, I'm glad you did show her face because I kind of felt bad for that girl for a minute. And because they're just young. I remember being in a protest at school. And what if I had been honest? And they go, what are you doing out here? And I go, I'm here to meet girls. That's why I'm here. Screw free Palestine. I'm here for the free poo. The only way I think Columbia is going to be able to get. I like to give you guys a joke to edit out very early in the show.
Yes.
Yeah, because you said it was free. There's no free lunch, son.
But I think they do have to worry about graduation rates though. With all the, they're going to have to make it so you can major in protesting. Mm-hmm. That's the solution to all this, right? They'll be like, uncuff me. This is my senior thesis.
And then, then they won't study. They won't do it.
That's right. You should be able to major in protesting, minor in spoiled child.
Yes, there you go. Very well put, whatever your name is. Hotep! Why is it nobody's talking about the tents? And why is this driving me crazy? That's all I see are these really nice tents that I never had. And I used to camp at times in the backyard.
Well, the reason why I'm broke is because of Amazon, right?
Yeah.
And I swear, I think the kids are getting them from Amazon. Because how are they getting there so fast? Like, only Bezos could deliver them that fast.
Yeah.
So I think that's my guess. And the tents look really cheap, too. They're not like, the real good kind. Anyway, I was a Boy Scout. That's how I know about tents. Anyway.
You were a Boy Scout?
I was a Boy Scout, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Before they started touching boys, though. But I just want to be clear.
Wow. Yeah, we didn't. That merit badge came out. I was good.
Well, I'm on the protester side, because I have a list, like a top 5 list of the worst things in the world, and the university's at fighting for number 1. Mm-hmm. So now that I see classes being disruptive, I'm like, oh, this is a good opportunity to stop indoctrinating children from Marxism. Because if they're in the classroom, they're being indoctrinated by Marxism. Well, actually, damn, if they're in the protest, they're being inducted into Marxism.
That was an honest answer, Kat. What is your take on this? Where are the tents coming from, I ask?
It's crazy, as I also have an honest answer. So obviously, so anti-Semitism, disgusting. Hamas, disgusting. And I'm not talking about the road blocking or physical violence, but just do need to remind everyone that hate speech is still free speech because, thank you, one person.
One hater, all right.
So
2 haters.
Because when Governor Abbott tweeted, he came out and he was like, these protesters belong in jail. Anti-Semitism is not tolerated. These students should be expelled or go to jail. And no, actually, it's disgusting as it is. It's going to be way scarier for the government to have a right to tell you what you can and can't say. If you could say anti-Semitism, you can go to jail or be expelled. You could say, okay, same for sexism or transphobia, or more accurately, whatever the government says qualifies as racism, sexism, transphobia. There are some videos that Fire posted showing, at least in the Texas protest, they appear to be confronting people who are in open areas protesting peacefully. And that still needs to be verified. People can watch the videos for themselves. But just going based off of his tweet, he didn't say that it was people. He was talking about people blocking traffic, or he said simply expressing anti-Semitism. So you can say there's a double standard when it comes to speech about Jewish students on campus. There absolutely is. But I'm not going to respond to that by myself being a hypocrite. So I'm going to just say I'm consistently First Amendment absolutist, and no matter how reprehensible the speech is, we have to stop from being tempted to allow the government to have any control over what we can and can't say.
All right. I think good point, Tyrus. But I go back to the central thing of once you interfere with other people's lives, that's not a protest.
Well, to be clear, I did distinguish that was not what I was talking about. And that's not what his tweet said either.
To Kat's
point. A rat for your bank account. Your bank account is gone.
I think, and Kat's 100% right in her analysis in that, but when you step on a school campus, there's a code of conduct that you agree to when you accept a scholarship, you accept to play ball. There's certain rules that you have to to abide by. So when there's a difference between making your judgment views heard and spewing threatening, like, I am Hamas. That's an entirely different thing than saying some of the worst things that we have heard. Like, we have to get back to the grammar, okay? But it's like the very argument of this is ignorant. Hamas is not a proxy of Palestine. Hamas is the government body of Palestine. So when they invaded on October 7th, that was Palestine invading Israel, because it was their government. You can't say the government of America invaded Mexico. No, America. So we already started splicing words. Then we started hearing the pro-Hamas. There's no pro. I think I've said it ad nauseum. You're either in or you're out. And if you're saying you are Hamas, that means you are taking responsibility for their terrorist actions. So I don't understand when you have a terrorist who will come out in broad daylight and say, I'm Hamas, you arrest them for just basically copying to being a part of a terrorist organization who currently we still have our hostages.
Right.
So it would make sense to arrest all the I am Hamases and say, hey, Palestine, we have 600 of your Hamas soldiers and we're willing to trade them for our hostages.
I like that.
Because it goes by grammar.
That is good.
But there's a big difference between saying I am Hamas and protesting and chanting. There's a big difference. But once that line is drawn to where you are claiming to be a terrorist organization, all bets are off.
But there's a very clear danger here, and I want to be quick about this. When you have these protests, specifically like in Texas, there's an opportunity for people who are not of the university to embed themselves in these crowds. And that presents a huge danger to people. And I think that's what we got.
Yeah, pamphlet protesters, the professional protesters. Yeah.
No.
Governor Abbott said in 2019 he supports free speech on college campuses. He should stick to that. And he can use his own speech to speak out against it and condemn the stuff that's gross.
All right. Jamie, that was directed at you. Up next.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.